Welcome to the Motormouth YouTube channel. I'm Zach.
I'm Andrea.
And we do full-length car reviews each and every week. We stop halfway through for a segment called Questions, Coffee, and Cars, and we've spun it off into its own thing. And we're up to episode 32. How do you play along?
32. Follow along on Instagram at Motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Pacific time, I put a post out with Zach and I holding our coffees. Get your questions in. It's only up for a short time and then it's deleted and we start the show.
Time now for Questions, Coffee, and Cars.
Before we start, we announced on the previous episode 31, if you missed it, what were you thinking? That we've decided to go twice a week now for Questions, Coffee, and Cars.
Twice a week. Because you requested it. You wanted it.
So the original air date is Tuesdays, and then this one drops when?
Fridays.
Fridays.
So Tuesdays and Fridays for Questions, Coffee, and Cars.
Actually, this one I think we're doing is, I don't know, we record them in advance. But the good news is we've made them a little shorter, but twice a week. So you can play along. All right? Your questions from Instagram.
Would like to thank you for doing all these reviews and new vehicles. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Buying a new vehicle these days can be overwhelming. When buying a new vehicle, the prices increase every year with new features and technology. Lately, while watching your show, you did reviews on Mercedes, Volvos, and other luxury vehicles. I just watched the review on the Chevy Trax and some with the Kona as well. Will you be doing vehicles priced under $25,000?
Well, we can. I mean, there's not a lot under $25,000.
No.
But Andrea actually took this to heart, and I made the request, and we actually have one of the cheapest vehicles available in the market, and the Nissan Versa, and we're picking that up next week.
Yeah, we are, and we look forward to driving it. I said to Zach, you know, we're living in a time where things are tough. People are really struggling with their finances, and if you need a new car and you can't afford $30,000+, there are other options available. Unfortunately, you know, we don't always get the vehicles we want. You know, we rely
the trim.
Yeah, we rely on the manufacturers to bring them into the press fleet, or we may get invited on a press trip where we get to drive the vehicle first, which is great. But we can't always pick and choose. So we do our best to do a broad range of vehicles from non-luxury to luxury, sedans, SUVs, crossovers, EVs, minivans, all of that. So yes, stay tuned.
The big question is, Andrea, do you guys want us to review the Mitsubishi Mirage? The cheap and cheerful three-cylinder Mirage.
Yeah, or what about the RVR?
Yeah, RVR is another one, another Mitsubishi. Mitsubishi has some cheap cars.
Yeah.
So let us know.
Yeah. Love you guys. We are loyal to Toyota. And I remembered one of your followers, Jerome from Quebec, says no to the BZ4X. Any reason why?
Well, Jerome is in contact with me. He emails me. He takes part. We also do a live show on Sunday. You're getting a lot of questions answered Sunday evenings, and he takes part in that. And he was talking about the BZ4X or the BZ4X if you're from America, and how it's not performing in cold weather. Quebec is the capital of cold weather in Canada, and they get a lot of snow. And I emailed him and said, "What's up?" And he said he has a friend who has this vehicle, and he drives long distances and has to stop and charge. And on the third charge, the capacity to take the charge goes from 100 kilowatts just down to 60.
Yeah.
So on that third charge, you're sitting around waiting a long time, and he's going from Rimouski to Montreal, and it's a long drive. And so he also says, this owner, in the wintertime, he says you can chop the range by about 30 to 40%.
Not good. I mean, this is not what people want to hear. Now, remember, the Subaru Solterra and the Lexus RZ or RZ are on the same platform. They have the same charging capability. Up to 150 kilowatt is supposed to be for the Lexus and the Toyota, and the Subaru up to 100. So actually a little bit slower than the other two. So we were at a drive event in Palm Springs for the Solterra, and this came up. There was a Quebec journalist who specifically asked about the third charge. And Subaru said...
They confirmed it.
Yeah, they confirmed it, that they definitely throttle it back. And we all said, Yeah, but then what happens on the third charge? You're going to be standing around waiting to charge your EV. Say you already have a lineup there, and then you've got to wait even longer. I mean, that is just ridiculous.
Okay, so for most people, that's not a concern because they're not doing trips in an EV where they need to stop 3 times.
Yes.
Like that's a lot of driving in an EV. Most people wake up in the morning and they have their coffee and they watch the Motormouth YouTube channel, eat their breakfast, and then they get in their electric car and it's fully charged because it charged all night. It's the Long Rangers, Lone Rangers? The Long Rangers that you might want to steer clear of that model.
Yeah, so any sort of city driving, fully charged, you will have no issues at all. And but those road trips, watch out.
So why do they do this? They're doing this to protect the battery.
Yeah.
So their goal is to have a massive amount of the battery's capacity still available after 10 years. And that's how they do it, by throttling the quick charging.
And it doesn't matter what brand you talk to. If you speak to Hyundai and you speak to Kia, they will say use a DC fast charger sparingly because it does hurt the battery long term. Huge fan of your channel. I'm looking to purchase a used mainstream sedan with all-wheel drive. I know that they don't make too many anymore, but I was thinking of a Fusion, Taurus. God, I haven't
thought of a Taurus.
Yeah. LaCrosse or Charger. I'd probably go Camry, but I'd like a little more horsepower. What are your thoughts?
I was going to say Subaru Legacy, but that ain't going to cut it if you want more horsepower.
No.
You know what? The Charger is a great car.
I was going to say.
And the Charger has great quality scores. The Charger has been made since Moses was a boy. It's been around a long time, and that car has been really untouched. So you can get it with I'm not sure if you can get the Hemi with the all-wheel drive, but you certainly get the Pentastar. The Pentastar engine has proven to be ultra reliable.
Yeah.
I say Charger. If it's good enough for the cops to drive.
Yeah. And get a fun color. I mean, it has a real presence on the road. I like it. I think I'd go with the Charger. I mean, I wouldn't get a Taurus. And I don't think I'd get a Fusion. That's another police car. Yeah.
But interesting thing is, back up the history just a little bit, just so you're aware of why the Charger is an absolutely excellent road car if you're going on a highway drive. Excellent car. It's an old E-Class Mercedes platform. You might not remember that Mercedes and Chrysler, they used to be married.
Yep.
It wasn't a good marriage. They divorced. It was kind of, not very nice at the end, but they were married. And one of the children was the Charger and the Chrysler 300, the Chrysler, I should say, 300.
There are a lot of those on the road as well,
So that's an old, late 90s E-Class Mercedes platform, and it's a great highway car. They added the all-wheel drive several years later. Then the Pentastar came out. It's been very good.
So we say Charger.
Charge on.
Hi, Andrea and Zach. First off, thank you for making such a high-quality and entertaining show. You have a rare TV quality show on YouTube. That's so nice. We are a one-car family, so our compact SUV commutes, takes kids to sports, and takes us all on road and camping trips. All of the EVs, compliance SUVs, continue to disappoint due to their small trunks and sloped roof lines. Any recommendations? Can't get a hybrid Toyota, so hybrid CR-V versus Outlander PHEV. Yeah.
Well, I go Outlander because you've got the extra fuel economy because it's a plug-in. You get the extra row of seats, and it's just slightly bigger. So I don't know.
Get some good range, 61 kilometers of range.
Yeah, it's got pretty good range. And, and if you get the top trim, it's really nice inside. So if you're piling kids in and out and you're going camping, that's going to do a better job, in my opinion, just because it's just that little bit bigger.
And it comes with a third row, and even if you don't use it, put it down, you've got the extra cargo space. But you're right, some of these compliance EVs, like we just talked about, are not holding up the way people want them, or don't meet the expectations.
The interesting thing is
what some of them are offering.
The interesting thing is on the outside, they all look like they're rinky-dink and they're too small and too low. But when you get in them, I'm going to show you pictures right now. So this is the back seat of the Ioniq 5, okay? The legroom is massive. And the cargo space is actually pretty good because you get that extra leg room in the second row when you fold the seats down. However, it's the height is the deal, but you'd be surprised how much junk you can stick in those.
Well, the Ioniq 5 is a great one for that. I find it to be a super spacious electric vehicle, but then something like the EV6, which is one of my favorites, sometimes the rear seat doesn't work because of that sloped roof, and people are finding that it feels a little bit claustrophobic for them. It only comes with a moonroof and not the panoramic sunroof.
The closest to what a conventional utility is the ID4.
Yeah.
I mean, if you looked at an ID4 and you said that's the new Tiguan and it's full gas, you would go, oh yeah, that's the closest.
Yeah, it feels and looks like an SUV.
The cargo area, it really does feel like it could just be a gas Tiguan.
Do you expect car prices to continue to rise? It has been a prolonged period of increases with no sign of demand slowing. It is getting better. There is more inventory, but I actually heard from somebody who's looking to buy a CX-5 from Saskatchewan, and I was kind of shocked to hear that there's a 4 to 6 month wait for that Mazda right now, and that's not a hybrid or an electrified vehicle.
Okay,
Some brands have more inventory than others.
So inflation is right through the supply chain, right? So you've got to remember one thing is where we have all these central banks, whether it's the Fed in the United States or the Bank of Canada or the Bank of England or whatever, raising interest rates to tamp down inflation. So inflation is the rate of change. So when they start to reduce interest rates again, that doesn't mean the prices are going down. That just means the rate of change is not going up as fast as it was. Inflation is the rate of change. So these prices aren't going back to what they used to be. These are the new prices for cars. Then you throw in something like a strike in the United States for the 3 major domestic car brands, and you have input costs that are going to go up, right? So they took a haircut during the Great Recession. They're now demanding much bigger wages. They haven't had a raise in many years. They're going to get it because they'll throttle the car industry until they get it. So we're talking about a major input cost to building those cars is going to go up.
And consumers are getting smarter. I mean, they are comparing different vehicles to each other. They're looking at the competition and they're looking for the most value. And it really is forcing manufacturers to add more standard features. We see that with Subaru, with the refreshed Crosstrek, or actually new Crosstrek that came out. And they added more standard features because that's what their research was showing. Also things like wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. People want it now. And so as manufacturers put more technology in vehicles, add more active safety features, the price is going to go up.
This is the story I always talk about. When I started reviewing cars in the early 90s, when I was 10, I can clearly remember what was then the best-selling passenger car in Canada was the Honda Civic.
And
And
priced really well.
yeah, it was, I can't remember, it was like around 12 or 13 grand. It was like stupid how cheap it was.
I know.
But you know what? So a Honda Civic best-selling, this was the press car they gave, right? The press car. This is their best example. No rear wiper, this was the hatchback, and no passenger mirror.
I remember that.
In the early 90s, a passenger mirror was optional.
God.
And a rear wiper on a hatchback, it was kind of a no-brainer. You know, like you got heat, maybe air conditioning on some cars, AM, FM radio, and that was it.
Pretty basic.
Even some cars, this is without joking, in those days, a rear defroster was optional. Can you imagine selling a car today with no rear wiper, no rear defroster, and no passenger mirror? You would get crucified. They would be dropping them off bridges. They would go, are you joking?
I mean, we complain today about
no
a
bum
vehicle.
warmers.
Yeah. Or what? It doesn't come standard with heated front seats? What's going on? Or even an armrest in the rear seat. Honda HRV, what's wrong with you? Like we are
spoiled.
demanding more now.
They're
and
like our
manufacturers are keeping up.
We're like our kids, spoiled.
Yep.
We're spoiled and soft.
Hey, we do these reviews. I mean, look at the Chevy Trax. So in the U.S., I love this U.S. number quoting it, starting at $20,400 U.S. and it comes with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto.
Yeah, the most expensive Trax in the U.S. is under 25 grand.
Amazing.
And it's got forward collision warning. Okay, the most expensive one, the one we had, the Active, forward collision warning, lane keep assist, heated front seats. This is the Canadian one.
Yep.
Even power lumbar on that car. Rear
What about
cross
the technology?
Yeah, rear cross traffic alert and all that technology in there. You know, they're not saying you got to pay extra for a side view mirror.
No, they aren't. So to sum it all up, we're demanding more.
Yes, we're demanding more. Whiners.
We're whiners. What new vehicles are you most excited to see and drive in 2024? You know which one I'm super excited about?
The Alfa Romeo Tonale.
No.
You said that in the last video.
Yeah, but that was something else, wasn't it? About what I want to drive.
Okay, what do you want to drive, Andrea?
I want to drive the new Toyota Land Cruiser.
Oh, yeah.
I'm super excited about that one. I hope we get invited on the drive event and that.
Wait a second. Let's just pause for a second here. Toyota. We want to go on the drive event. Okay, continue
on. The Land Cruiser. So that one, I just think, I don't know, it's just so retro and cool, and I'm really looking forward to driving that one.
Okay, I'll do a Toyota as well, just because it popped into my head.
Sure.
Because we were in Hawaii for the launch of Tacoma, and we're going to drive it maybe soon. I think it's coming up. I want to drive the manual transmission Tacoma base model, because that's a car I see in my future, Andrea.
I know, you're super excited about that.
I know, I love a Maverick. I do love the Maverick.
I know.
But if I could get a manual transmission Tacoma.
The SR5, are you talking about?
I don't really care. Something cheap and cheerful.
Remember you liked the SR5. Remember in Hawaii and it was blue and it looked
that was
so
the Sport.
good.
That was the Sport.
Yeah.
I think it was an SR5 Sport. So you might be right. That's kind of the one I would want.
Yeah, it looks good.
The only problem with Toyota is the stupid. We had a Tacoma, and it had the access cab with the two doors on the side. They got rid of the doors. It's the dumbest thing. I just don't get it.
No.
Like someone said, how's my dog going to jump in and out?
I know.
How am I going to get my tools in and out?
Yep.
It's the stupidest thing. So I love that. I want to drive the manual of that. It could be in my future. I need a pickup truck like a hole in the head. But I just like what I like,
The other vehicle I'm really excited about is the GTI that we ordered with a manual transmission.
Yes, that's personal. Very
Maybe coming in January.
Okay, so we're running along here. We said they're going to be shorter, Andrea.
Okay, should we do one more?
One more, but keep it quick. I'm going to hold you to it. Good thing I brought a chronometer today to do it. So I'm going to time it. So we got to do it in less than 2 minutes. 3, 2, 1, go.
What are your thoughts on EVs going forward? Will the prices come down? Will the batteries get better, longer range? Also, will manufacturers be all electric by 2035? Thanks and love your show.
No, not chronometer, chronograph. So I'll add an extra 5 seconds.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on battery? No, prices aren't coming down on electric cars. If you think about every single brand in the world is moving towards electrification, every single brand in the world is needing those raw materials to make batteries. Then you get the geopolitical fight between batteries made in China, batteries made in America, all of that. Prices are going up.
Will they have more range? Yes, I believe so. Later on, and then that's a concern for the current ones. What will they be worth when others have more horsepower and more range? But then you can get a deal, right? You can get a deal on an older model if you don't want to pay more for the new one. Done. That's how good we are.
All right. We did it.
Right?
In less than 2 minutes.
There you go,
All
Zach.
right. Thank you very much for all the questions. How do you play along if you want to do that?
Follow along on Instagram at motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday at 7 a.m. Pacific time, I put a post out. It's only up for a short time. We're holding our coffees. And it's deleted, and then we start the show.
I think that's the first time I've used this chronograph function in like 10 years.
I feel like you didn't know how to do it.
What do you mean I don't know how to do it?
I think you fake the time.
No,
it's just because we were so fast.
Well,
like he's really...
No.
Okay, let's say goodbye. See you next time.
This is an old watch. It's from 1969, the original year moon watch. That's cool, man.
Very cool.
It works. You know what it works like, Andrea? A Swiss watch. Bye.
Bye.